Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tony Needs Hobbies. I promised someone to try and make a nice sturdy leather case for a fragile pair of glasses, so that's what I will be doing in this video. Have fun watching. It took me a little while to make this template so that the pair of glasses would fit. The case will fit smaller glasses. Well, that's what I hope at least, because I made the template off of this awful sketch. I'm skipping the divider because with the thickness of leather that I use, that part was looking just horrible. If you want to make your own, go ahead and download the template off of my website, tonyneedshobbies.com, and scale it to any size suitable for your glasses. I will make two cases. Both cases will be constructed out of 3.5mm thick or 9-ounce vegetable tanned leather. The reasoning behind this is simple, it's the only piece of leather that I own. Maybe it's not the best choice for this project, but if you stick around to the end of this video, I will share 3 beginner's tips for working with veg tan leather, based on what I learned doing this project. I start with tracing the template with a pencil. Then I punch holes where the sharp edges are to prevent the leather from tearing during bending. After that, I cut this part out with a sharp Stanley knife and try to cut as close as possible to where I drew the line. Then I mark the locations where the snap button will go with an awl, after which I punch the hole out with a punch. I am making 2 cases, so I need to punch 4 holes. After punching, I will use my brand new edge beveler tool to break the edges. That will make burnishing later on in the process a lot easier. This new tool that I got is very sharp and is a real improvement over the other Chinese edge beveler that I got a few months ago. It can also hold a stitch groover tool that I will use to mark the stitching lines before punching the holes to stitch through. Then I fix the fasteners because that's a little bit more difficult when everything is glued and stitched together. This is the first project where I incorporate buttons and I didn't know how to use the set of punches that I got, but it was very straightforward. When the buttons were fixed, I used the stitching hole punches to punch holes along the stitching lines. Without those holes, hand stitching is a painful and almost impossible experience. I still punch the needles in my fingers now and then, but with the pre-punched holes there is a lot less force behind the needle. I will not use a mold to form the leather, but I will form the leather by hand after making it wet with a water sprayer. I learned from the first case that I made that I should not make the entire piece of leather wet, but just the area where I want it to bend. This gives a better looking overall shape to the product. By adding some water just above the fastener, I can press my maker's mark into the leather real easy. Then it's time to apply the contact cement. I let it dry completely before attaching the front and back side and clamping it for a few minutes with these little clamps, so that everything is stuck together when I start with my favorite part, hand stitching. A few months ago I made this stitching pony to make hand stitching a lot more comfortable. If you want to find out how I made it, please check out the video that is linked at the top right of your screen. I am definitely not the world's best saddle stitcher, but I am getting better and faster at it since I first started leatherworking. Every project I bleed less than the previous one and my stitches look very regular these days. When I am at the end, I backstitch 2 stitches, make a simple knot and melt the waxed nylon thread with the tip of a very hot screwdriver. Obviously, I repeat this step for the other side of the case. When that's nice and done, I apply just a little bit of water on the edges. This helps the fibers to align and make for a smooth edge when using the new burnisher tool that I can put in my little drill press. One of the last steps is bending the flap so that the case gets its final shape. Again, I do this by applying some water. This leather is too thick and not flexible enough to be bent without applying water. And done. I really love the natural color of vegetable tanned leather. It really pops after applying neatsfoot oil. I have the impression that my shoulder of leather is a bit dry, so I apply tons of it. And then I finish the cases by applying a beeswax based conditioner and sealant. Now it's time for 3 beginner's tips for working with veg tan leather. For some projects, 9-ounce veg tan leather is a little bit too thick. It definitely makes a good belt or a beautiful sheath, but for these sunglass cases I might have benefited from using thinner leather. If you're not using molds, only apply the water where you want to bend the leather. I made 2 cases, and when I was bending the first one I wetted the entire piece of leather. Then it became too flexible, so it was very difficult to get it into shape. The second one I only wetted the area where I wanted to bend, and that one turned out a lot better. Let the leather dry entirely before hand stitching. If you don't do that and you apply a little bit too much force with your fingers or fingernails, you will definitely get fingernails imprinted, and when the leather dries you cannot get rid of them anymore. As you can tell, I learned a lot doing this project, and I hope that my tips are valuable to you as well. If they are, please hit the like button. And if you want to see me struggle with this thick piece of veg tan leather in the future, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. For now, I would like to thank you for watching. Bye bye.